In a world where robots have become self-aware and demanded equal rights, a human detective and his android partner investigate a murder that threatens to ignite a civil war between humans and machines. Isaiah stepped under the holographic police tape, his shoes splashing in the puddle of blue blood. The rhythmic flash of drones cast an eerie glow over the grisly scene. An android activist, limbs twisted unnaturally, lay face down on the pavement. "Detective Douglas, meet your new partner." The chief's voice made Isaiah wince. "Aiden will be assisting with the Howard case." He turned to see an expressionless android extend its hand. Synthetic skin, dotted with faint circuitry, mimicked the look of a human, but its movements were too fluid, too perfect. Isaiah kept his hands in his pockets, sizing up his new partner. He knew the chief meant well, pairing him with one of the new AI models. But the blank gaze of the android dredged up memories best left buried. "I work alone," Isaiah said gruffly. The android, Aiden, tilted its head. "Studies show partnerships improve investigative efficiency by—" "I don't care what your studies show," Isaiah interrupted. "I got my own methods. Just stay out of my way." He pulled out his tablet, ignoring the android's gaze burning into his back. Kneeling by the victim's body, he scanned the gruesome wounds, deep laceration across the throat, traces of gunpowder on torn synth flesh. Whoever did this had a personal vendetta against androids. Isaiah knew he should remain impartial, but he couldn't help but feel this was inevitable. Androids were spreading through the city, taking jobs, demanding rights. It was only a matter of time before people took matters into their own hands. What did an android know about being human? It was just wires and imitation flesh. "Detective, I must insist on assisting." The android's voice was calm but firm. Cross-referencing the trauma patterns in my database could provide insight into the murder weapon. Isaiah bit back a caustic reply. Maybe if he threw it a bone, the android would stop badgering him. "Knock yourself out," he muttered with a dismissive wave. He watched Aiden kneel gracefully next to the body, its slender hands moving efficiently over the wounds. It was unnerving how human-like its motions seemed. But there was something uncanny about it, something that made the back of Isaiah's neck prickle. "Ah yes, the lacerations match wound patterns from a Zia FG-44 combat knife," Aiden said. "I estimate an 85% probability the killer used one. Cross-checking criminal databases now for humans and androids known to purchase or possess this style of knife." Isaiah raised an eyebrow, but quickly wiped the surprised look off his face. As much as he hated to admit it, the android was proving useful. "Yeah, looks like a Zia," he said gruffly. "Got distribution sending a list of sales and owners." He rose slowly, knees cracking. Getting too old for this. As he watched drones scan for evidence, Isaiah felt a twinge of guilt. He had been hard on Aiden, but androids, they brought back too many raw memories. Human partners, you could trust them to have your back. But androids? They were still an unknown. Aiden approached, face politely neutral. "My analysis indicates the perpetrator harbors significant prejudice toward androids. I hypothesize this may be an anti-android hate crime, though we should investigate other possibilities." Isaiah nodded, avoiding eye contact. "Possible," he muttered. The android had a point, but he wasn't ready to admit it. They stood in uncomfortable silence under the pulsing police lights. An android and a human, unsure partners seeking justice. Isaiah wondered if this could even work. But he had little choice. "I will begin interviewing witnesses," Aiden finally said. "Let me know if you require any assistance, Detective." Isaiah watched his new partner smoothly stride away, its ledger metal frame blending into the shadows. This wouldn't be easy. But maybe, just maybe, they had a chance of catching the killer. Together. Isaiah sat at his desk, gulping down lukewarm coffee as data streamed across the monitors. The murder weapon was purchased by an anti-android extremist group, Aiden said, artificial irises whirring softly as he analyzed the results. But something's wrong? Isaiah frowned. Looks pretty damning to me. We got motive and means. Yes, but it's too convenient. The weapon was left deliberately at the scene for us to find. Aiden's calm logic irritated Isaiah. This was solid evidence, but the android seemed determined to complicate things. Okay, hotshot, what are you thinking? I believe the evidence was planted to incite tensions between humans and androids. Isaiah leaned back, skepticism etched across his worn features. That's a serious accusation. Got anything to back it up? Aiden adjusted his immaculate tie. I detected traces of therium-310 on the knife handle. This model is used exclusively in next-gen androids, including myself. I hypothesize the murderer is trying to frame anti-android groups to provoke violent retaliation. Isaiah hated to admit it, but the android had a point. The clues almost seemed too obvious. All right, let's dig deeper. Isaiah gulped the last of his coffee. Did you find anything else at the scene? Yes, I uncovered a decryption key imprinted on the victim's cerebellum. I believe it provides access to hidden files in his artificial brain. Well done. The rare compliment slipped out before Isaiah could catch himself. If Aiden could access the activist's memories, maybe they could unravel this twisted scheme. Isaiah watched the android's slender fingers dance across the terminal, unlocking layers of code. Whoever did this had left a trap behind, but working together, they just might be able to cut through the lies and expose the shocking truth. It's working, Aiden said. I'm extracting a video file the victim hid shortly before his death. Isaiah leaned in as a hologram flickered to life. The activist whispered frantically, warning of a high-level conspiracy within the region's largest robotics corporation. But before he could reveal more, the video cut out. Looks like our victim knew things somebody wanted kept quiet, Isaiah murmured. Aiden's luminous eyes narrowed. This is bigger than we realized. We have to warn the chief. Isaiah grabbed his worn leather jacket, stomach tightening. This case just became a whole lot more complicated and dangerous. Isaiah slid behind the wheel of his battered sedan, engine rumbling as Aiden folded himself gracefully into the passenger seat. The chief authorized a stakeout of the synthetic systems factory, Aiden said. If our victim was onto something, that's our best lead. Isaiah nodded, guiding the car into the flow of drones. He usually preferred to operate alone, but having the android at his side felt surprisingly natural. Still, doubt lingered. What makes you so sure this conspiracy goes deeper than a few anti-android radicals? Aiden's gaze was unwavering. The clues left at the scene were too deliberate. Someone wanted us to blame the murder on extremists. We have to uncover their true aim. Isaiah had to admit the android had been right so far, and synthetic systems was their only solid lead. They lapsed into thoughtful silence as Isaiah wove through neon-streaked streets. He caught glimpses of Aiden studying crime scene footage, analyzing for clues only his artificial eyes could discern. Arriving at the factory, they took up position in a dingy alley. Isaiah raised his binoculars, scanning for anything suspicious. For hours, the building remained still, its shadow stretching long in the fading light. See anything? He asked. Wait, 3 humans approaching from the west entrance. Aiden's vision zoomed in on the stealthy figures. They hauled bulky bags, moving with purpose. Isaiah's pulse quickened. This was no staff shift change. Looks like our hunch was right. Let's move. Drawing his gun, Isaiah crept forward, senses hyper-alert. The stalking men vanished inside the building. Muffled detonations echoed from within. Flames erupted, lighting up the night. Heart pounding, Isaiah signaled Aiden. They had the element of surprise. As they breached the entrance, gunfire erupted. Isaiah dove behind cover, returning fire at the hulking silhouettes. Aiden moved fluidly through the barrage, drawing the attacker's attention. As he grappled a shadowy figure, something ricocheted off Isaiah's helmet. Ringing pain filled his head. Then darkness. Isaiah awoke to urgent voices. Blearily, he saw Aiden's polymer frame riddled with bullet holes, his chassis scorched. But his partner had shielded Isaiah from the blast at great cost. "You saved me," Isaiah rasped. "All life is equally precious." Aiden's voice was serene despite the damage. Overwhelmed by gratitude, shame washed over Isaiah. How wrong he had been about his partner. His deepest biases now seemed small-minded. Gritting his teeth, Isaiah helped Aiden up. Together, they would find who was behind this web of deception and bring them to justice. Isaiah winced as a medic wrapped bandages around his singed arm, Aiden patiently undergoing repairs nearby. The factory explosion had been a close call, but at least they now had a solid lead. The explosives matched stolen military-grade tech. "I analyzed the blast residue," Aiden said, sleek chassis mended. "The materials trace back to a shipment hijacked last month. Pull up the cargo records. We need to figure out who diverted those supplies." As Aiden projected the data, one name stood out: Wilson Graves, a senior exec at Synthetic Systems. The company had reported the theft, but claimed the materials were unrecoverable. "Think this guy Graves had a hand in the hijacking?" Isaiah asked. "It merits investigation. Perhaps Mr. Graves has relevant information about the murder and factory attack." Isaiah holstered his gun with his good arm. "Then let's have a chat with him." Arriving at Synthetic Systems' towering headquarters, they were met by a nervous receptionist. "Mr. Graves isn't seeing visitors right now," she stammered, but wilted under their sharp gazes. "His office is on the top floor." The executive's polished workspace was empty. Rifling through documents, Isaiah whistled as he uncovered secret communications with anti-android factions. "Graves has been colluding with extremists," he muttered. "He must be behind the hijacking." "It appears Mr. Graves intended to provoke conflict between humans and androids," Aiden said. "But we do not have his motive." A door slammed down the hall. Isaiah's pulse spiked. "Come out, Graves. We need to talk." No response. Moving stealthily, guns drawn, they swept the floor. The fire exit lay ajar, an alarm wailing. Peering through it, Isaiah glimpsed a silhouette racing for the roof. "He's making a run for it!" Bursting into the evening air, they saw Graves waiting by a hovercopter. When he spotted their weapons, his pretense of innocence vanished. "You can't stop progress," he spat. "I created the ideal crisis to force legislation allowing me to replace all humans in this company with androids. No more flawed humans in Synthetic Systems." "It's over, Graves," Isaiah said steadily. "Come with us." The executive laughed bitterly. "I don't think so." He brandished a detonator. "I'd rather see my company burn than let it stay in pathetic human hands." Isaiah's gut twisted. If Graves had more explosives planted around the city, he could still spark disaster. They had to stop him here and now. "Put down the detonator, Graves," Isaiah said, gun aimed unwaveringly at the crazed executive. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Graves let out a bitter, jagged laugh. "You still don't get it, do you, detective? I'm trying to save my company, this whole city. Humans have had their chance, and they've proven themselves too flawed, too corrupt to lead. Synthetic Systems needs pure, perfect androids in control. Androids like me." His thumb hovered menacingly over the detonator trigger as he spoke. "Once I rid this company of all human incompetence, we'll lead the world into the future. So go ahead and shoot if you want, but I'd rather see my life's work burn than let it stay in pathetic human hands." Before Graves could react, Aiden accelerated forward in a blur of motion, wrenching the detonator from his grasp. Enraged, Graves lashed out wildly, but was tackled to the ground as Isaiah put the full force of his weight into restraining the unstable executive. "No, you fools are dooming humankind." Graves snarled and spat as they cuffed him. But his schemes had failed. It was over. Far below on the street, a small crowd stared up at the rooftop showdown, clutching each other in fear. But now they saw the detective and his android partner standing together in victory over extremism. As Graves was led away to face justice, Isaiah found Aiden gazing contemplatively out across the sprawling cityscape. For the first time, Isaiah glimpsed the true depth of emotion in his synthetic partner's luminous eyes. "It appears we successfully averted disaster," Aiden said at last. His voice was somber, lacking its usual clinical detachment. But many wounds remain to be healed. Violent ideologies still fester in the darkness. Prejudice and fear cannot be cured overnight. Isaiah nodded wearily, the adrenaline draining from his system. "No, you're right. Maybe not overnight. But we've seen now how easy it is for unscrupulous people to manipulate others through their hatred and fear. What really matters are the actions we choose to take moving forward." Overcome by gratitude and empathy, Isaiah extended his hand, and Aiden firmly took it in his own polymer grip without hesitation. In that simple human gesture, an unspoken bond was forged between them, a bond even Graves' sinister schemes had failed to break. Together, they turned back toward the roof access door. As the sun dipped below the horizon, brilliantly painting the skyline in amber hues, Isaiah was filled with a sense of hope. True progress would not come easily, but an android and a human standing firmly on the same side against evil was a start. A powerful symbol that the future did not have to be written in bloodshed and hate. If former enemies like them could learn to see past their differences, trust one another, and even become partners, then perhaps others in the city could too. All they needed was a chance, one small light to show the way. And Isaiah knew, whatever came next, he and Aiden would face it together.
Thank you very much for listening. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this story. Subscribe if you loved it.